I stood at the front of my living room, holding a manila envelope that contained the end of my world. Around me, 50 people sang "Happy Birthday" to my daughter Sophia, their voices cheerful and oblivious. 18 candles flickered on a cake decorated with Duke University's colors, royal blue and white. My wife Rebecca stood beside Sophia, her smile frozen in place, her eyes locked on mine with a silent, desperate plea. If you've ever found out your whole life was a lie, you know that moment. That split second before you decide whether to keep pretending or detonate everything. I chose the bomb. Before we cut the cake, I said, my voice cutting through the final notes of the song, I'd like to show a little presentation about truth, about family, about what those words really mean. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up 2 weeks. 2 weeks earlier, I was in my home office organizing scholarship documents for Sophia. Full ride to Duke, ROTC program, pre-med track. My daughter, the future military doctor. I was so damn proud I could barely breathe. Rebecca kept saying I was more excited than Sophia, and she was probably right. Sophia had always been my North Star, the reason I came home from 2 tours in Afghanistan, the reason I built a contracting business instead of re-enlisting for a 3rd deployment. I opened the filing cabinet to grab Sophia's birth certificate, and that's when I saw it. A folder I didn't recognize, shoved in the back behind old tax returns. Medical documents, DNA diagnostics laboratory. So my hands started shaking before I even opened it. The report was dated 4 years ago. 4 years. Sophia had been 14. Test results. Alleged father, James Mitchell. Child, Sophia Mitchell. Probability of paternity, 0%. The room tilted. I sat down hard in my desk chair, the paper trembling in my hands. 0%. Not unlikely, not improbable. 0. Mathematically impossible. Sophia wasn't mine, except she was mine. I'd been there when she was born at 3:47 a.m. on October 14th, 2006. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. I'd cut the umbilical cord with hands that were steadier in combat than they were in that delivery room. I'd walked the floors with her every night for 3 months when she had colic. I'd taught her to ride a bike, to throw a softball, to change a tire. I'd sat by her hospital bed for 4 days straight when she had pneumonia at 7 years old, sleeping in a chair that destroyed my back because I'd promised her I wouldn't leave. And Rebecca had known for 4 years that Sophia wasn't biologically mine. I looked at the date again. 4 years ago. I'd been deployed to Afghanistan. Rebecca had been working late a lot that year. She was a nurse at Womack Army Medical Center, always had a good excuse for long hours, and I'd trusted her completely, the way you trust someone when you're in a war zone and your marriage is the only sane thing in your life. The test listed a comparison sample. Biological father, Brandon Carey. Brandon Carey. Dr. Brandon Carey, cardiologist at the same hospital where Rebecca worked. I'd met him at a hospital fundraiser once. Tall, dark hair graying at the temples, expensive watch. He'd shaken my hand and complimented Rebecca's work. The whole time he'd known. They'd both known. 18 years of marriage, 18 years of fatherhood. And for 4 of those years, my wife had known our daughter wasn't mine and said nothing. I waited up for Rebecca that night, put the DNA test on the kitchen table like a hand grenade. When she came through the door at 11 p.m., still in her scrubs, she saw it immediately. The color drained from her face. "When were you going to tell me?" I asked. My voice sounded calm. I'd learned that in the Marines, how to stay calm when everything inside you is screaming. "James, I can explain." 4 years, Rebecca. You've known for 4 years. She sat down across from me, and I watched her calculate her response. That's what killed me most, watching her think about what lie would work best. "I did it for us," she finally said. "For Sophia. She doesn't need to know. She deserves to know. I deserve to know." "It doesn't change anything," her voice rose. "You're her father. You raised her. Biology doesn't matter." "Then why did you test her?" I leaned forward. "Why did you need to know if it doesn't matter?" Rebecca's face crumpled. Through her tears, the truth came out in pieces. The affair had happened during my 2nd deployment. Brandon Carey. It had lasted 8 months. She'd broken it off when I came home, swore it was over, convinced herself we could go back to normal. But when Sophia turned 13, she'd started looking more like Brandon. The same nose, the same smile. People had started commenting on how Sophia didn't look like me, so Rebecca had panicked and ordered a DNA test. And when it confirmed Brandon was her father, I asked, "What then?" I begged him to stay silent. He agreed. We both agreed it was better this way. Better for who? Rebecca didn't answer. She didn't have to. Sophia's birthday is in 2 weeks, I said. We're celebrating her scholarship. Everyone will be there. Your parents, my mother, all her friends, half the neighborhood. Either you tell the truth then, or I will. You wouldn't. Rebecca stared at me like I was a stranger. You wouldn't destroy her like that. You already did, I said. I'm just making it visible. The next morning, I sat on the front porch with my father's coffee. That's what I called it, my father's coffee. He'd taught me how to make it when I was 10 years old, before he deployed to Iraq for the last time. Strong, black, with just a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. Every Sunday morning, he'd sit on whatever porch we had at whatever base we were stationed at, and he'd drink his coffee and watch the sunrise. After he died, IED outside Fallujah when I was 17, I'd kept the ritual. It was the only thing I had left of him besides his Bronze Star medal and a flag from his funeral. I couldn't drink the coffee that morning, couldn't taste anything. I just held the cup and watched Sophia leave for school. She waved at me from her car, that bright smile that had gotten me through 2 deployments and 1,000 hard days. She had no idea her whole world was about to shatter, just like mine had. I kept thinking about what my father used to say. A Marine never abandons his post, Jamie, and family is our post. He'd said it at his own father's funeral. He'd said it when he re-enlisted instead of taking a civilian job. He'd said it in the video message he'd recorded before his last deployment, the one I'd watched so many times I had it memorized. But what did that mean when your family was built on lies? Was my post Sophia, or was it the truth? Could it be both? I pulled out my father's Bronze Star from where I kept it in my desk drawer. The citation read, "For heroic achievement in connection with combat operations against the enemy." What they didn't write was the full story. My mother had told me when I was older, my father's unit had been ambushed. A young Marine, Lance Corporal Danny Rodriguez, had been hit and couldn't move. The extraction helicopter was coming, but Rodriguez wouldn't make it. My father's commanding officer had ordered him to fall back. My father had refused. "A Marine never abandons his post, sir," he'd said, "and that kid is my post." He'd stayed, held position for 40 minutes under heavy fire, dragging Rodriguez to cover, keeping him alive until the medevac arrived. Rodriguez survived. My father earned the Bronze Star, and Rodriguez spoke at my father's funeral 14 years later, telling everyone that Staff Sergeant William Mitchell was the kind of man who stayed when everyone else ran. That's who the Mitchells were supposed to be. I looked at my daughter's photo on the wall, at the family portrait from last Christmas. Me, Rebecca, Sophia, all smiling like we were the perfect American family. At the wall of Mitchell, men in uniform, my grandfather, my father, me, 3 generations of Marines, and I made my decision. I spent the next 2 weeks in hell. Rebecca told her parents I was having a breakdown. She suggested I had PTSD from my deployments, that I was being cruel and unstable. Her mother called me, crying, begging me not to ruin Sophia's special day. My own brother, a lawyer who'd never served, told me to handle this privately, like an adult. Only one person understood. Marcus Sullivan, Mac. We'd served together. 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. He'd saved my life in Helmand province, and I'd returned the favor in Kandahar. After we'd both gotten out, he'd become a cop here in Fayetteville. He was the first person I'd called after finding the DNA test. I sat in Mac's kitchen on a Tuesday night, drinking his beer and trying not to fall apart. "You're doing the right thing," Mac said. He was still in his police uniform, having come straight from his shift. "Hard right over, easy wrong. That's the code." "What if I lose her?" I couldn't look at him. "What if Sophia hates me?" "Then you lose her knowing you honored her with the truth. That's more than Rebecca did." Mac got up, pulled 2 more beers from the fridge, and sat back down. "I ever tell you about Emma?" Emma was Mac's daughter, 22 now, getting married in the fall. "Tell me what?" "She's not mine," Mac said. "Biologically, I mean. Found out when she was 6. Ex-wife had an affair, got pregnant. Let me think Emma was mine for 6 years. I stared at him. You never said anything. Because it doesn't matter. Not to me, not to Emma. I raised that little girl. I'm the one who was there for every scraped knee, every nightmare, every school play. When I found out the truth, I had a choice. Walk away or stay and own it. I stayed. Told Emma the truth when she was 10 because her mother wanted to keep lying. Emma's been calling me dad ever since. Brought her fiancé to meet me last month, and you know what she said? This is my real dad. The other guy is just biology. But how do you know she won't change her mind? I asked. How do you know she won't choose the biological father? I don't, Max said. But biology doesn't make you a father, brother. Showing up does, and you've shown up every single day for 18 years. Give Sophia time to choose. Trust that you built a foundation strong enough to stand on. I wanted to believe him, but every night I'd watch old home videos and feel like I was drowning. Sophia's first steps, I'd been there. First day of school, I'd driven her. Every soccer game, every recital, every parent-teacher conference. And that time, she'd gotten pneumonia at 7 and spent 4 days in the hospital. I'd taken emergency leave from work, slept in that god-awful chair by her bed, held her hand through every fever spike. In one video, she looked up at me with those big eyes and whispered, "I love you, Daddy." Rebecca had been working late that week. Now I knew why. Rebecca tried everything in those 2 weeks. She tried to seduce me, she tried to bribe me, offered counseling, offered to quit her job, offered anything if I'd just keep quiet. When that didn't work, she threatened me, said she'd tell people I was unstable, that I'd lose custody anyway, that I was destroying our daughter's life out of spite. "You're going to ruin my life," she said one night, her voice shaking with rage. "No," I said. "I'm going to tell the truth. You ruined your own life 18 years ago. You just hid it better." The night before Sophia's birthday, I drove to the cemetery. My father was buried in the military section, row after row of white headstones standing at attention. I sat on the ground in front of his grave and talked to him like I was 17 again. "I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, Dad, but I know hiding the truth isn't the Marine way. I know you'd tell me to stay. To be honest, to honor Sophia with the truth, even if it costs me everything." The wind rustled through the trees. A flag flapped somewhere in the distance. I thought about his funeral, the honor guard, the 21-gun salute, the flag folded with such precision and handed to my mother. "He died with honor intact," the Marine had said. Honor. That's what this was about. Not revenge, not cruelty. Honor. The morning of Sophia's birthday, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror and straightened my tie. Sport coat, dress shirt, slacks. I looked like I was going to a wedding instead of a detonation. I slid the DNA test results into my inside jacket pocket, right next to my heart. Sophia knocked on my bedroom door. "Dad, can you help me set up the projector? I want to show my scholarship acceptance letter during the party." She called me Dad, maybe for the last time. "Sure, sweetheart," I said, and followed her downstairs. I was about to become the man who destroyed his daughter's 18th birthday. But I was also about to become the man who loved her enough to tell her the truth. Rebecca's parents arrived early. They cornered me in the kitchen while Sophia was in the backyard setting up tables. "Rebecca told us everything," her father said. He was a retired accountant, always meticulous, always controlled. Now he looked sick. About Brandon, about the DNA test. I said nothing. "But there's something else you need to know," her mother added, wringing her hands. "Something Rebecca never told you about why she did the test." The story came out in a rush. Brandon Carey had come to the hospital 3 years ago and told Rebecca he wanted to be in Sophia's life. He'd known she might be his daughter. Rebecca had confessed the affair to him years before, when she'd broken it off. But when Sophia had started looking more like him, he demanded to know for sure. He'd pushed Rebecca to do the DNA test. When it came back confirming he was Sophia's biological father, Rebecca had begged him to stay silent. He'd agreed on one condition, that she'd eventually leave me and be with him. Rebecca had been planning to leave me for 4 years. She'd just been waiting for Sophia to turn 18. "And you knew this?" I asked them, my voice hollow. They both nodded, ashamed. "We begged her to tell you," Rebecca's mother said. "But she said you'd take Sophia. She couldn't risk it. 18 years of marriage, 4 years of knowing the truth. and she'd been planning to leave me the whole time, once Sophia was old enough that custody wouldn't be an issue. I'd been living with a ghost, a woman counting down the days until she could walk away clean. I called my mother. She was already on her way to the party, but I needed to hear her voice. "Mom, I need to hear about Dad again. The story about the medal." There was a pause. My mother could always hear the pain in my voice, even when I tried to hide it. "Which story, sweetheart?" "The one about staying, when he could have run." So she told me. About Vietnam, about the ambush, about the wounded Marine my father had refused to leave behind, about how he'd held position for 40 minutes under fire, how he'd earned the Bronze Star for valor, how Lance Corporal Rodriguez had survived and spoken at my father's funeral 20 years later. "Your father told me that night," my mother said softly. "My post isn't a place, Patty. It's people, and I don't abandon people." "Mom," I said, my voice cracking, "what if staying isn't enough? What if the truth costs me everything?" "Then you'll know you loved her enough to give her the choice," my mother said. "Your father would want Sophia to know the truth, and he'd want you to stay her father anyway. That's what real fathers do." She arrived 20 minutes later, pulling me aside before the other guests showed up. She handed me a small wooden box. "This is for you," she said. Inside was my father's Bronze Star medal. I'd seen it 1,000 times, but never held it. It was heavier than I expected. "He earned this by staying," my mother said, "by refusing to abandon his post, even when it would have been easier to run. Sophia is your post, James. Biology doesn't change that." I held the medal, feeling its weight, reading the inscription. "For valor, Staff Sergeant William Mitchell." "What if Sophia chooses Brandon?" I whispered. "What if knowing the truth makes her leave?" My mother took my face in her hands, the way she had when I was a child. "Then you'll have loved her enough to let her choose freely. That's what real fathers do. But James, she'll choose you, because you stayed. You always stayed." The guests started arriving. Sophia's friends, our neighbors, Rebecca's family, my mother, Mac, and his wife. 50 people crowding into our house and backyard, all celebrating Sophia's achievement, her future, her perfect family. Rebecca played the perfect hostess in a blue dress that matched Sophia's. She shot me warning looks every time I got near the projector. Sophia was radiant, laughing with her friends, showing everyone her Duke acceptance letter. Mac pulled me aside near the kitchen. "You sure about this, brother?" I wasn't sure about anything, but I was doing it anyway. The cake came out. 3 tiers, blue and white frosting, 18 candles blazing. We sang "Happy Birthday." Sophia blew out the candles and made a wish. "I wish for the best future with my family," she said, beaming. Rebecca's smile looked like it might crack her face. I stood up. The room quieted. "Before we cut the cake," I said, "I'd like to show a little presentation about truth, about family, about what those words really mean." I moved to the projector, dimmed the lights. The first slide appeared on the wall. "The truth about our family." Rebecca stood up, panic flashing across her face. "James, don't!" "Sophia deserves the truth," I said, looking at my daughter. "You had 18 years to tell it, Rebecca. Now it's my turn." The second slide was a photo of our family from last Christmas. Happy, perfect, a lie. The third slide was the DNA test. I heard Sophia's sharp intake of breath, heard the murmurs from the guests, watched Rebecca's face collapse. 4 years ago," I said, my voice steady even as my hands shook, "your mother had you tested without my knowledge. The results showed that I'm not your biological father. Brandon Carey is." The room erupted. Rebecca was crying. Sophia stood frozen, her face white. People were talking over each other, some demanding I stop, others demanding to know more. "James Mitchell, you stop this right now," Rebecca's mother shrieked, but I wasn't finished. "Your mother knew for 4 years," I continued, looking only at Sophia now. 4 years of knowing the truth and choosing to hide it, and I understand why that might seem like protection. But, Sophia, you're about to go to college. You're about to build your adult life, and you deserve to build it on truth, not lies. Sophia's eyes met mine. I couldn't read her expression. Shock, maybe. Betrayal, hurt. "I love you," I said. "That's the truth that matters most. But you deserve all the truth." That's when Brandon Carey walked into my backyard. Rebecca must have called him. Must have begged him to come and stop me somehow. He stood there in expensive khakis and a polo shirt, looking uncomfortable and guilty and very much like my daughter. "You must be Brandon," I said. Sophia turned to look at him, then back at me. Then she ran. She pushed through the crowd and ran inside the house. I heard her bedroom door slam. The party descended into chaos. Rebecca's family surrounded her, comforting her like she was the victim. Brandon stood frozen. My guests looked at me like I'd just shot someone. Only Mac came to my side. "Give her time," he said quietly. I canceled the party. Everyone left, taking their gifts and their judgment with them. Rebecca went to her parents' house. Brandon left without speaking to me. My mother stayed long enough to hug me and whisper, "You did the right thing." But sitting alone in my living room at 2 a.m, Sophia's door still locked. 47 missed calls on my phone from people telling me I was a monster. I wasn't sure the right thing and the good thing were the same. The first 3 days were the worst. Sophia wouldn't come out of her room. I'd leave food outside her door and find it untouched. On the second day, I heard her crying through the wall and almost broke down her door. On the third day, she emerged long enough to pack a bag. "I need to stay at Sarah's house for a while," she said. Sarah was her best friend since elementary school. "Okay," I said. "Whatever you need. Don't call me," she added. "I'll reach out when I'm ready." I watched her walk to her car, put her bag in the trunk, and drive away. It was the longest walk I'd ever seen her take, away from me. Max showed up the next day and found me in the same clothes I'd been wearing for 3 days, unshowered, barely eating. "Get up," he said. "She's gone. She's processing. Get up anyway." He made me shower, made me eat, made me sit on the front porch with coffee the way my father had taught me. We sat there in silence for a long time. "Your post is still that girl," Mac finally said. "She's just figuring things out. What if she never comes back? Then you'll live knowing you loved her enough to tell her the truth. That's honor, brother." He told me more about Emma then, how his ex-wife had wanted to keep the affair secret forever, how he'd discovered it when Emma was 6 and his wife had gotten careless with her phone, how he'd told Emma the truth when she was 10, despite his ex-wife's threats and rage. "Emma was so angry," Max said. "Didn't talk to me for 2 months. I thought I'd lost her. But you know what happened? She started asking questions. About the biological father, about why he didn't want her, about why I stayed when I didn't have to." "What did you tell her?" "I told her the truth, that I stayed because she was my daughter in every way that mattered, that biology is just cells and genetics, but family is choice and love and showing up every single day." "And she believed you?" "Eventually. She's 22 now. Calls me every Sunday, brought her fiancé to meet me last month. The biological father? She met him once when she was 16, had coffee, talked for an hour, and never contacted him again. Said he felt like a stranger." Mac looked at me hard. "Give Sophia time to choose, James, but trust that you built a foundation strong enough to stand on. My mother came by almost every day. She'd bring groceries, cook dinner I couldn't eat, and sit with me on the porch. One evening, she found me holding my father's bronze star. Maybe I should have just kept quiet," I said. "Let her be happy in the lie." "Your father once told me," my mother replied, "the truth might hurt for a season, but a lie hurts forever." You gave Sophia the truth. That's the greatest respect you could show her. A week after the party, my phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Can we meet? Somewhere neutral?" We met at Arnett Park, at the playground where I'd taught her to ride a bike when she was 6. She was sitting on the swings when I arrived, pushing herself gently back and forth with her feet. I sat on the swing next to her. Neither of us spoke for a long time. "I've been talking to a therapist," Sophia finally said, "trying to process." "That's good." More silence. The chains on the swings creaked. "Why did you do it that way?" she asked. "In front of everyone?" I'd been preparing for this question for days, but now that it was here, I didn't know if I had the right answer. "Because your mom had 18 years to tell you privately," I said. 4 years of knowing for sure. She chose the lie every single day. I couldn't let you go off to Duke not knowing the truth. I couldn't let you build your adult life on a foundation that might crumble the first time Brandon decided he wanted to be a father. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Did you ever love me? Or was I just obligation?" That broke me. I turned to her, and I didn't try to hide my tears. "Every single day," I said, "from the moment you were born, from the moment the nurse put you in my arms and you grabbed my finger with your tiny hand, biology doesn't make you my daughter, Sophia. Choosing to stay did. Choosing to show up for every soccer game, every school play, every middle-of-the-night fever. Choosing to love you when you were easy and when you were difficult and when you were breaking my heart did. And I'd make that choice again every single day." She cried. I cried. And then she asked the question I'd been dreading. "I don't know what to call you now." "You can call me James," I said, "or you can call me Dad. Whatever feels true to you." She looked at me for a long time. Can I still call you Dad?" "I'd be honored." She got off her swing and hugged me, and I held on to her like she was the only thing keeping me anchored to the earth. The healing came slowly, in small moments. Sophia started coming over for dinner. The first time was awkward. We barely talked, just ate pasta and watched TV. But she came back the next week, and the week after that. We watched Mulan, which had been our tradition since she was 8. We looked at her Duke dorm room plans together. We started rebuilding something that looked almost like what we'd had before, but different, better, maybe, built on truth instead of assumption. One Sunday morning, I was on the porch making coffee when Sophia's car pulled up. It was 7 a.m. She'd never been a morning person. "Can I have some of that coffee?" she asked, climbing the porch steps. "The way you make it? You hate coffee." "I want to learn," she said. "It's a Mitchell thing, right?" So I taught her. A 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, strong and black. We sat on the porch together as the sun came up, drinking coffee that she grimaced at but kept sipping anyway. "Why do you do this every Sunday?" she asked. I told her about my father, about the ritual, about how it was the only thing I had left of him besides stories and a medal. "I think I get it now," Sophia said. "The whole honor thing, why you couldn't let the lie keep going. Do you hate me for it?" She was quiet for a moment. "I did, for a little while, but I hate Mom more. She had so many chances to tell the truth, and she chose to lie every time. You only had one chance, and you chose truth even though it cost you everything." A few weeks later, Sophia asked about Brandon Carey. "Do you want to meet him?" I asked carefully. "I don't know. Should I?" "That's your choice, sweetheart. I won't be angry either way." "Did he ever try to be in my life?" I told her what Rebecca's parents had told me, about how Brandon had known for years, about how he'd pushed for the DNA test, about how he'd stayed away anyway. "He didn't stay," Sophia said, her voice hard. "You did." "Staying isn't always easy," I said, "but it's always worth it." Around this time, something unexpected happened. I was at Home Depot buying materials for a job when a kid, maybe 8 years old, came barreling around the corner and crashed into a paint display. Cans went everywhere. The kid looked terrified. "Hey, it's okay," I said, kneeling down. "Let's clean it up together." His mother appeared, flustered and apologetic. Emily Crawford, elementary school teacher, single mom, with kind eyes and paint on her jeans. "I am so sorry," she said. "Jake, what have I told you about running?" We cleaned up together, and somehow we ended up talking. She was funny, real. She mentioned that her school was doing a career day and asked if I'd be interested in talking about construction or military service. "I'd be happy to," I said, and we exchanged numbers. It wasn't a date. It wasn't romance. It was just connection. The first time in months I'd talked to someone who didn't know my whole story, who didn't look at me with pity or judgment. Mac invited me to family dinner one night. His wife Lisa cooked enough food for an army. Their daughter Emma was there with her fiancé, a nice kid named Tom who worked in IT. Emma toasted Mac during dinner. "To the best dad in the world," she said, raising her glass. "Not because of biology, because you chose me every day." I watched Mac's face, saw the pride there, saw what I could have with Sophia if I just kept showing up. Later, Mac and I sat on his back deck with beers. "See," he said, "blood doesn't make family, love and loyalty do." 1 month before Sophia left for Duke, she came to me with news that made my stomach drop. "Mom wants me to do family therapy," she said, "with her and Brandon. She says he wants to be in my life now." I felt like I'd been punched, but I kept my voice steady. "What do you want?" "I want to know why," she said. "Why he stayed away, why Mom lied, why now." Then go, I said, even though it killed me. Get your answers. I'll be here when you get back. You're not scared I'll choose him? I'm terrified, I admitted. But you're not a prize to be won, Sophia. You're a person who deserves to make informed choices. And I trust you. She hugged me tight. That's why you're my dad, because you trust me to choose, and you stay even when it's scary. She met with Rebecca and Brandon at a therapist's office. I didn't ask what happened. She came home quiet, thoughtful, and didn't talk about it for 3 days. Then she sat me down at the kitchen table. They want joint custody, she said. Mom and Brandon, they're filing paperwork. They want me to spend half my breaks with them. You're 18, I said. Legally an adult, they can't force you. They're saying you alienated me from Mom, that you manipulated me with the public exposure. There's going to be a court hearing. The judge wants to talk to me. I felt sick. This was it. The real fight. Not for custody. Sophia was an adult and could choose where to live. But for parental rights, for legal recognition, for the right to be listed as her father on any future documents. What are you going to say? I asked. The truth, Sophia said. All of it. But Dad, you need to prepare. Mom's lawyer is going to come after you, hard. The lawyer Rebecca hired was expensive and ruthless. Rachel Torres, my attorney, was a former JAG lawyer who understood military culture and family dynamics. She sat across from me in her office and laid it out. They're going to paint you as unstable, Rachel said. PTSD, cruel, vindictive. They'll say Rebecca is the biological mother and Brandon is the biological father. Therefore, they should have parental rights. And my advantage? Sophia is 18, an adult. She can choose. But this hearing will determine financial support, medical decisions if she's incapacitated, legal next of kin status. If they win, you're effectively erased from her life legally. Then we fight. The courthouse in Cumberland County was smaller than I expected. The hearing room was formal, but not intimidating. I sat at a table with Rachel. Rebecca sat across from us with her lawyer, a man in a suit that cost more than my truck. Brandon sat beside her, looking uncomfortable. Sophia was in the gallery with my mother. Mac testified first. He wore his police dress uniform, and I'd never been more grateful for his friendship. Sergeant Sullivan, Rebecca's lawyer began, you and Mr. Mitchell served together in the Marines? Yes, ma'am. 2 tours Afghanistan, 1 Iraq. Would you say Mr. Mitchell has exhibited signs of PTSD, anger issues? Mac didn't hesitate. I'd say he's exhibited signs of being a man who was lied to for 18 years and handled it with more grace than most would. But exposing Ms. Mitchell at a birthday party in front of 50 people, surely that's not grace? He gave Rebecca 2 weeks' notice, Mac said. She could have told the truth privately any time in those 2 weeks, in the 4 years before that, in the 18 years before that. She chose not to. James chose honesty. Rebecca's lawyer tried to rattle him, but Mac was steady. He looked at me once, and I saw it in his eyes. I've got your 6, brother. James Mitchell is the kind of man who stays when it's hard, Mac said. That's the Marine way, that's the father way, and that's who Sophia needs. My mother testified next. Patricia Mitchell, 70 years old and still sharp as a tack. Rachel asked her about my father. William Mitchell, my mother said. Staff Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, served in Vietnam, earned the Bronze Star for valor. What did he teach your son about family? That family is who you choose to stay for, who you protect, who you honor. My mother told the story of the Bronze Star, about the wounded Marine, the ambush, the choice my father made to stay when leaving would have been easier and safer. My husband taught James that a Marine never abandons his post, she said. And James's post has been Sophia for 18 years, not because of DNA, because of love. She looked at Sophia in the gallery. That girl is a Mitchell, not because of blood, because James made her one through every single choice he's made since she was born. Rebecca took the stand next. She cried, played the victim, talked about how hard it had been, how lonely, how she'd made a mistake but was trying to protect her family. Rachel Torres cross-examined her without mercy. Ms. Mitchell, when did you perform the DNA test? 4 years ago. And you hid the results from Mr. Mitchell and from Sophia? I was trying to protect them. Protect them from what? The truth? Rebecca faltered. I was scared of losing my daughter. But not scared enough to stop lying. Rachel produced the text messages between Rebecca and Brandon. I hadn't known she had them. Sophia must have given them to her. We'll be together once Sophia's 18. Just hold on. James will never know. He's too trusting. I'll make sure Sophia understands I'm her real parent. The courtroom was silent. Rebecca's perfect victim act crumbled. Brandon Carey took the stand next. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Dr. Carey, Rachel began, when did you first suspect Sophia was your biological daughter? About 5 years ago. She started looking like me. And what did you do? I asked Rebecca to test her. Did you offer to tell Mr. Mitchell the truth? No. Did you offer to support Sophia financially? Rebecca said it was better if I stayed away. So for 4 years, knowing you had a biological daughter, you did nothing? I was respecting Rebecca's wishes. Rachel's voice turned sharp. Or you were avoiding responsibility. Then came the questions that destroyed him. Dr. Carey, what is Sophia's favorite color? Brandon looked blank. I don't know. Then favorite food? We haven't spent much time together. Her best friend's name? I'm not sure. But you want custody of a daughter you don't even know? Brandon had no answer. Then it was my turn. I walked to the stand with my father's bronze star in my pocket. I'd brought it for strength, for courage, for the reminder of who I was supposed to be. Rachel asked me to tell my story. I did. From the moment Sophia was born to the moment I found the DNA test. Every birthday, every school event, every late night with a sick child, every deployment where I'd called home just to hear her voice. When did you first suspect Sophia might not be biologically yours? Rachel asked. 2 months ago? When I found the DNA test Rebecca had hidden. What was your first thought? The courtroom was silent. I looked at Sophia. That I'd been lied to, I said. That 18 years of my life had been built on a fiction. Did you consider walking away? For about 10 seconds. Then I remembered everything we'd been through together. Her first steps, her first word, Dada. Her first day of school when she cried, and I promised I'd always pick her up. The 4 days I spent in a hospital chair when she had pneumonia at 7 years old. My voice broke. Biology didn't make me her father. Staying did. Rebecca's lawyer tried to break me on cross-examination. But you humiliated your wife and daughter publicly. I gave my wife 2 weeks to tell the truth privately. She refused. Sophia deserved to know before she left for college, before she built her adult life on a lie. You could have told her privately yourself. And let Rebecca keep lying to everyone else? Let Sophia think I was the crazy one? No. The truth needed to be public because the lie had been public for 18 years. I pulled out the bronze star, held it up. My father taught me that honor means doing the hard right over the easy wrong. Telling Sophia the truth was the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than combat, harder than burying my father. But it was right, and I'd do it again. Finally, Sophia took the stand. I watched her walk up there, poised, strong, so much braver than I'd been at 18, and I saw my father in her. Not in her features, in her spine, in her shoulders, in the way she held herself. The judge asked her directly, Ms. Mitchell, you're 18, legally an adult. Why are we here? Because my mother and Brandon Carey want to establish parental rights, Sophia said clearly. And my dad, James Mitchell, wants to ensure those rights are based on truth, not biology. What do you want? Sophia looked at me, then at Rebecca, then at Brandon. I want the law to recognize what I already know, she said. James Mitchell is my father, not because of DNA, because he chose me every single day for 18 years. She turned to the judge. Brandon Carey shares my DNA, but he's never been to one of my soccer games. He doesn't know I'm allergic to shellfish. He doesn't know I want to be a doctor because I watched James take care of me when I was sick. He doesn't know that I'm terrified of thunderstorms because when I was 6, I thought thunder was the world breaking, and James sat with me through every storm and told me the world was strong enough to hold the noise. My mother lied to protect herself. James told the truth to protect me, even knowing I might hate him for it, even knowing I might choose Brandon. Sophia's voice strengthened. I'm choosing James. I've always chosen James, and I'm asking this court to honor that choice. The judge deliberated for less than an hour. When she returned, the courtroom stood. This court recognizes that Ms. Sophia Mitchell is a legal adult capable of making her own decisions regarding familial relationships. However, this court also recognizes the importance of honoring the man who has, by all accounts, fulfilled every duty of fatherhood for 18 years. She looked at Rebecca, then at Brandon, then at me. Joint legal custody is denied. Mr. James Mitchell retains full parental rights and responsibilities. Dr. Brandon Carey, you have the right to pursue a relationship with Ms. Sophia Mitchell, but only with her consent, as she is an adult. Ms. Rebecca Mitchell, your petition is denied. The gavel fell. Furthermore, this court finds that Mr. Mitchell's actions, while unorthodox, were not malicious. He was protecting his daughter's right to truth. Case dismissed. Sophia ran to me, hugged me in the middle of the courtroom. Rebecca left without looking at either of us. Brandon followed her, and I never saw him again. Outside the courthouse, local news was waiting. Small town, big story. A reporter pushed a microphone toward me. Mr. Mitchell, how do you feel about the ruling? I looked at Sophia beside me, at Max standing behind us, at my mother with tears in her eyes. I feel like justice recognized what I've always known, I said. Family is who you choose to stay for. Sophia squeezed my hand, and I choose him. As we walked away, I saw someone standing at the edge of the crowd, Emily Crawford, the woman from Home Depot. She'd come. She caught my eye, smiled, gave a small wave. Later, she told me she'd read about the case in the news. She'd come to support me. That's when I knew. When you lose everything, you make room for something better. 3 months later, I was helping Sophia move into her Duke dorm room. We set up her desk, hung her Duke pennant, arranged her textbooks. She had her ROTC uniform hanging in the closet already. Can I ask you something? Sophia said as we worked. Anything. Can I have Grandpa's bronze star to keep here? I stopped. The medal was the only thing I had left of my father, besides memories. You sure? I asked. I'm a Mitchell, she said. You told me so yourself. I want to remember what that means. I pulled the medal from my pocket. I'd been carrying it since the courthouse. I handed it to her, and she held it carefully, reverently. You're more than a Mitchell, Sophia. You're the best of us. She set it on a small shelf next to a framed photo of the two of us from her high school graduation. Not her birth. Not some perfect family portrait. Just us. Blood doesn't make you a Mitchell, I said. Honor does, and you've got more honor than anyone I know. Back home felt different, quieter. Sophia was a Duke. Rebecca had moved to Raleigh with Brandon, heard they got married 6 months later. The house that had been full of lies and secrets was now just mine. But it didn't stay quiet for long. Emily and I had been seeing each other, slowly, carefully. She was cautious about introducing Jake to someone new. I understood. I was cautious about letting anyone into the wreckage of my life. But one evening, she invited me to dinner. Just the three of us. Jake made spaghetti. His specialty, he said, proudly, even though it was clearly Chef Boyardee with extra cheese. Mr. Mitchell, Jake said over dinner, my mom said you were a Marine. That's right. Did you ever get scared? I looked at Emily. She nodded permission. All the time, I told Jake. But being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means staying even when you're scared. Jake thought about this. Like staying with people even when things are hard. Exactly like that. After dinner, Emily and I cleaned up while Jake played in the living room. Our hands touched, reaching for the same dish. The same electricity I'd felt at Home Depot. Jake really likes you, Emily said quietly. He doesn't usually open up to people. He's a good kid. You're doing great with him. It's hard, she admitted. His dad left when he was 3. Jake keeps asking why. Some people run when things get hard, I said. The real ones stay. Our eyes met. Maybe we could do this again, she asked. I'd like that. 4 months after the court case. It was Thanksgiving. I'd never hosted before. Rebecca had always insisted on doing Thanksgiving at her parents' house. But this year, I was cooking. My dining room table was full. Sophia home from Duke, my mother at the head of the table, Mac, his wife Lisa, and their daughter Emma with her fiancé, Emily and Jake, not Rebecca. She'd chosen Brandon, I'd chosen truth. And truth had given me this, a table full of people who actually wanted to be there. Thanksgiving morning, I was on the porch making coffee when Sophia came out in her Duke ROTC sweatshirt. Room for one more? she asked. We sat together, watching the sunrise, steam rising from our cups. How's school? I asked. Hard, amazing, scary. She paused. I'm thinking about pre-med with military focus. Maybe I'll be a military doctor. Like your mom? I meant Rebecca and immediately regretted it. Like you, Sophia said. ROTC first, then medical school. I want to serve, help people. Maybe be deployed someday. I was so proud I couldn't speak. What about you? Sophia asked. You and Emily seem good. We are, taking it slow. Jake's a great kid. Emily appeared in the doorway with Jake, both still in pajamas. Is this a Mitchell thing? Emily asked, smiling. Yeah, Sophia said, but we can share. The four of us sat on the porch, 2 cups of coffee, 1 hot chocolate for Jake, 1 tea for Emily. The sun rose over Fayetteville, painting the sky orange and pink. This is family, I thought. Not the one I was born into, not the one I thought I had, the one we chose. Thanksgiving dinner was loud and warm and perfect. Mac raised his glass first. To James, he said, for showing us what it means to stay. Emma, Mac's daughter, stood next. To chosen family, the best kind. Jake, sweet and sincere. To Mr. James, who's teaching me to be brave. Sophia stood last. To my dad, who loved me enough to tell me the truth, even when it cost him everything. I stood, throat tight with emotion. To all of you, for reminding me what family really means. After dinner, Sophia and Jake looked at my family photo wall. 3 generations of Mitchell men in uniform, grandfather, father, me, and the empty space where the perfect family photo had been. My mother appeared with a new photo, one she'd had printed from today. All of us, James, Sophia, Patricia, Mac's family, Emily, Jake, laughing, happy, real. This one needs to go up, my mother said. We hung it together, right next to the military photos, right where it belonged. This wall isn't about blood, Patricia said. It's about who stays, and you all stayed. That evening, after everyone left and Sophia was asleep in her old room, Emily and I sat on the porch swing. Thank you for including us, Emily said. We don't have family nearby. You're family now, I said, if you want to be. She leaned against me. Jake asked me tonight if you could be his dad. Not like officially, but, you know. My heart filled. I'd be honored. You know what I realized today? Emily said. You're not broken. After everything that happened, you're not damaged. You're just good. I had good teachers, I said, and I'm learning new things every day. We sat in the darkness, the porch light casting warm shadows. Then she kissed me, gentle, promising, real. Sunday morning came, and Sophia had to drive back to Duke. I helped her pack her car with leftovers and laundry and textbooks. Dad, she said before she left, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you ever regret it, telling the truth the way you did? I thought about it, really thought about it. I regret the pain it caused you, I said honestly, but I don't regret the truth, and I don't regret where we are now. Me neither, Sophia said. I have a real family now, not a fake one. She hugged me tight, got in her car. I'll call you Sunday, she said through the window. Coffee time. I'll be on the porch. Weeks passed. Life found a rhythm. Work, Emily, Jake, Sunday calls with Sophia, dinners with my mother. The house didn't feel empty anymore. Sunday morning became sacred again. Not the old ritual with Rebecca that had been built on lies. A new ritual. Real. I sat on the porch making coffee, Emily beside me with her book, Jake on the steps drawing pictures of what he called our family. Stick figures that included all of us. My phone rang, FaceTime from Sophia. Morning, Dad. I wish I was there for coffee. Next weekend, we'll save you a cup. My mother pulled up, regular Sunday visits now. Mac texted about dinner at his place that night. Emma wanted us to meet her fiancé. I looked around, at Emily laughing at something Jake said, at Sophia's bright face on my phone screen, at my mother walking up with pastries from our favorite bakery, at the Bronze Star visible through the window, now on my shelf since Sophia had brought it home for Thanksgiving break and insisted I keep it. The life I'd thought I wanted, the perfect family, the beautiful lie, was gone. In its place was something better, messier, harder, real. They say the truth will set you free. Nobody mentions it'll burn your whole life down first. But what they also don't tell you is this. Sometimes you need to burn down the fake life to build a real one. I lost a wife who'd never really been mine. I lost the illusion of a perfect family. I lost 18 years of what I thought was truth. But I gained something better. I gained a daughter who chose me, not because of biology, not because she had to, but because of love. I gained a family built on truth instead of lies. Mac and his family, Emily and Jake, my mother who'd always known what real family meant. I gained mornings like this, real, messy, beautiful, chosen. My father used to say, a Marine never abandons his post. For 18 years, I thought my post was protecting a lie for Sophia's sake. Turns out, my post was protecting the truth for her sake. And the truth is this. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who you'd burn your whole world down to protect. It's who stays when the ashes settle. It's who chooses you and who you choose back every single day. Sophia starts at Walter Reed next summer. Military medicine, just like she planned. She wants to be deployed, wants to serve, wants to follow in the footsteps of her great-grandfather and grandfather and father, not because of blood, because of honor. Emily and Jake are part of my life now. We're taking it slow, but Jake's already started calling me Dad James. And Emily talks about maybe moving in next year. My mother says I'm exactly like my father, stubborn, honorable, too loyal for my own good. She means it as the highest compliment. Rebecca sends Sophia a card sometimes. Sophia reads them and throws them away. She says maybe someday she'll be ready to forgive, but not yet. Not while Rebecca still claims she was protecting everyone instead of protecting herself. Brandon sent one letter asking to meet Sophia. She wrote back one sentence. You had 18 years. You chose not to stay. And me? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. On this porch. With this coffee, with this family, the real one, the one we built, the one that stays.